This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
For the very first time, the Weekend Warriors will be racing at Barcelona. While this track is known for F1 and a lack of passing in those higher downforce cars, there's no such problem in these diminutive machines. What will the action be like with this unusual matchup? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch round 5 of the Weekend Warriors, and you'll see it all live here on the Global Sim Racing channel and the iRacing Esports Network. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Ryan Walker. Behind the scenes is our director, Sean Crackers Ambrose, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Barcelona's popularity for Formula One testing and continued presence on the calendars made it a relatively famous racetrack. But in case some of our viewers are unfamiliar, let's head down for our track guide to learn a little bit more about the place. Welcome to Circuit de Barcelona. The home of the Spanish Grand Prix for nearly 30 years, it's easy to forget that this is a relatively recently built track in Europe. It's known for its long, sweeping corners and hosts the highest level of open-wheel and motorcycle racing. Placing an emphasis on a good aerodynamic setup with high downforce cars, it's often overlooked that it offers plenty of overtaking for lower-tier racing as well. In fact, most don't take into account that this adaptable track has 5 different layouts to choose from. These range from the nearly 3-mile-long Grand Prix version to the minuscule 1-mile club circuit. Because of the pit straight being the longest acceleration zone, Elf is the most likely spot for drivers to get it past them. After that, your next hope might be into La Caixa, which, depending on which layout you use, could be a sharpened set of 2 turns or one long hairpin with an opening radius. In the early 2000s, a chicane was added close to the end of the lap, but the old Europe car corner can still be run. The Spanish fans have some gorgeous views from the many hills dotted along the track. And with the international fame this place has built over time, it's no wonder they're almost always full come race day. You can see some of the beautiful views that you get around here. But Ryan, I'll be honest, this seems like a really big track for such a small car.
Absolutely, Zoe. It's a fantastic track for these cars from the races I've done this week so far. But some information about the track for our first time visiting in this series. The track is 2.49 miles in length, or 4.3 kilometres in length, if you prefer using kilometres. Has an amazing 13 turns, and is a 40-minute race with a pit stop included.
And as always, we want to remind you that the Weekend Warriors is brought to you by Sim Stickers. Whether it's button boxes, steering wheels, or keyboards, they have you covered. And now, if you use the promo code GSRC10 when purchasing, you get 10% off of all orders for the whole season. You can find out more at simstickers.co.uk. Let's take a look at that championship. And, well, if you've been watching so far this season, I think you already kind of know what to expect. David Gaspers has won all 4 rounds so far, with some bonus points in there as well. Obviously, he's got those 22 extra. Daniel Sadro trying to chase him, but at this point, he is an entire win behind and then some, simply because he had a bad round last round. Fred Desai, Emil Orza, and Jason Perry are the last 3, with Orza and Perry in a pretty tight fight for that 4th position currently. But we're yet to hit halfway in the season, so still a lot to go. Let's go to the Spec 2 series as well. Ryan, what's the points there?
The 4th man at the moment in the Spec 2 class in the Spec 2 Championship is PJ Gowdy at the moment. He's currently leading in that championship, but not far behind him is Dominic Bureau, who's been having a consistent season so far. Been upping his pace and he's improved quite a lot. 3rd place is Jay Wowen Smith, Fourth place is Yuri Cox, and behind him, rounding out the top 5, is Larry McLeod, who's fallen back a little bit after some bad luck in the last 1 or 2 rounds.
That's unfortunate to see because Larry certainly had some speed in some of these races so far. Now, today's race itself, we mentioned that it is 40 minutes long, but here's a little bit more about the race itself. They have limited the fuel compared to what the real Spec Racer Ford can hold, which means you should expect 1 pit stop for fuel. Now, they also ration the points, which is an interesting method. It basically ensures that no matter how many drivers show up, 25 points always go to the last place driver, and to kind of keep that fair. Now, the incident points obviously will hurt your race, not just because if you have off tracks, it's bad in general, but, well, you can lose points in the championship. You can see 3 points lost for every 10 incidents that you accrue. They also have a spare car, fast repair, and drivers have used that quite a bit in this series. With the high speeds around here, I expect that a lot of drivers will be using that today. We are once again on the iRacing Esports Network. Make sure and subscribe. It's very easy to do. If you're watching this on YouTube, just scroll below the video. If you haven't subscribed yet, you'll see a big red button. Click that, and you won't miss a moment here on IESN. And qualifying, Daniel Sadro leads the way here right now, Ryan, but David Gasper seems to be having trouble to get some clean laps in. He finally got one in, and it's only good enough for third.
It seems to be a problem of David Gasper's this season so far. In qualifying, he just seems to struggle to put a lap in, or a decent lap in. But as we all know, come the race time, he's on fire, and most of the time so far this season, he's run away with it.
I'm going to watch to see what he can do on the remainder of this lap. He's got just under 3/10 to make up on Daniel Sadro. Van Dormelen is ahead of him, and now Orza is ahead of him as Emil puts himself into third by about 8/1000ths quicker than David Gaspers over a 2-minute lap. That's a very small margin. Let's see if Gaspers can go quicker, which I wouldn't bet against this guy the way that he's been performing the last few seasons. Coming, of course, out of Europe car and into the final turn. Let's see what he's got. The start-finish line, the timing line is very quickly after. As he crosses, it's a 2:01.4. That's 3/10 quicker, and that indeed is good enough for the pole. Watching,
Yeah, it was sorry, Joe.
No, go ahead. I was just saying we're watching Yuri Cox at this point.
I was just going to say that was a fantastic finish to the lap from David Gaspers. Considering I was just saying he's not really got it together in qualifying this season so far. He's got it together first round, and 3/10 of a second quicker than Sadro. But just looking behind them as well, Antonio Rees is in the top 3 and only a few thousand off them.
Sadro is going to reset the car and try to get back out there. Jerry McAreevy having some problems. In the meantime, we're waiting on 2 drivers to get some times in. Interestingly, Brad Speidel has joined us. Speidel races in the Bootleg Series, which is in the Grand National car, the K&N car. Used to be in the Modifieds, but that is a short track oval series. So it's interesting to see Brad come out here and race on the roadside. Glad to see drivers doing both disciplines as we watch for Colin now on screen. Hello, Brim, as well. Circling around. It's in 26 this last lap, not quicker. In fact, that looks like a relatively slow one for him, so that must have been an outlap of some sort. Antonio Rees is getting ready to finish his lap. He's sitting in third right now. He's been looking very good in this qualifying. Last one was his quickest at 2:01.493. He's got about, half a tenth to make up to our pole sitter, so he's not got to make up much more, but he does not improve. In fact, it's very, very tight there up at the top of the field. As I mentioned, top 3 separated by half a tenth. And then down to, looks like 5th place, there is less than 3/10 splitting Gaspers, Sadro, Reese, Dormelin, and Orza. Those are the ones to beat today.
Just looking at the grid in qualifying at the moment, the surprise in qualifying for me has to be Tim van Dormelin. Did not expect to see him up in P4. I was expecting to see him in the mid pack, but a great qualifying effort from him, and he's improving slowly this season so far.
We mentioned earlier about the Spec 2 field as well, Ryan, and for our viewers, the Spec 2 class is 200 numbers and above out there, and that includes the 700s. I know we were a bit confused about that before. But Larry McLeod is, no, excuse me, not Larry McLeod. Looks like Greg Stefani is our pole sitter in Spec 2. Gaspers crosses the line again. This looks like he had an off that track, unfortunately. Sadro just crossed as well. He's also not going to get a lap that counts. What about Jerry McAreevy, who's unusually low here in qualifying? He's pulled into the pits for some reason. Paolo Bream continuing to try and improve on that 26th place, but so far, no luck for him. Speidel also yet to set a time, but oh, now he's got one on the board. That puts him in 28th. So what about Paul Godden? He's just ahead of Bream, sitting in 27th. And that is a quicker lap by a decent margin, but it does not improve his position out in the qualifying order.
Just looking to see if anyone's improving their laps. Most of the people I watched haven't improved, and also Stephen Elson was on a good lap, but he unfortunately spun, so won't be improving. So we've got about just under 5 minutes remaining. So I'll be interested to see if anyone improves their times. But just looking throughout the field as well, and yeah, as you say, Joe, Jerry McAreevy strangely struggling. So I don't know if it's a track it doesn't suit his driving style, but I know he's said in the past that it's one of those tracks that he's never got to grips with.
We see Samuel Dick putting a time down. David Gaspers is coming around now. Gaspers is using a lot of this track. I've been kind of watching him, and he is not afraid of going very wide or very shallow on curbs, which probably explains why he's had so many discounted. This one does count, and it's even quicker now. A 2:01.1 puts him 3/10 ahead of Sadro, who just crosses the line himself. Sadro has another one that is a no-show. He's got to get one more shot, maybe two, to try and get a faster lap in.
Fantastic lap from David Gaspers. I'm amazed how he found that much time. I was just looking as well. I don't know if he had any draft or not, but if he didn't get any draft, then that's a mighty impressive lap without any draft. But yeah, it's David Gaspers. He's absolutely quick in this car. So for me, anyway, it doesn't surprise me.
Watching Essen Numi, who's, speaking of the draft, pulling along Greg Stefani, our pole sitter in the Spec 2. So we could see Greg go a little bit higher overall. Nope, he had an off track somewhere, so that's not going to count for him. Antonio Reese still not able to get anything chopped off of that 2:01.493. He stays in third position. Murakami, though, that last lap was his quickest, a 2:02.3. That's going to put him in 13th.
I'm just taking a look through the grids as well, and I've noticed that the attendance for this round is not as high as it has been before. But as we were talking about before the broadcast, it's the Barcelona track. It's a pay track, so it might have affected the attendance, I should say. But it's still a good turnout for today. I'm just looking to see how many cars we've got. We've got about 32 or 33 cars on track, so still a good turnout.
Absolutely. Watching Kurt Nunez now, who's riding a draft off of PJ Gowdy. Gowdy is up in 14th overall. Gowdy doesn't improve, and neither does Nunez with that lap by. David Gaspers is coming into pit lane. He's content with his pole, doesn't want to try and set another lap. Juracek unusually far down for him, 12th, and it looks like that last lap did not count for him. Sadro didn't get a quicker one, and he's got one more try as he came across the line with seconds to spare.
I'm just looking at the track temperature as well, and yeah, it's the track's still relatively cool. The inside time is 1:40 in the afternoon, so quite surprisingly, it's a cool track. What's I'm quite surprised by that, but nevertheless, maybe I was expecting the times to be a little bit quicker.
I believe this is the track as Greg Stefani is going to abandon his final qualifying lap with the checkered flag out now. Antonio Reese also going to call it a day. Esanumi, everybody heading in. Finally, we get someone who's going to complete a lap. Michael Shaw on the 55 comes around. Let's see if he goes any quicker here as he crosses the line. He does, a 2:02.7. That's going to bump him up to 16th.
A good improvement from Michael on the end of the lap. Chris Murakami was on a good lap, but unfortunately he spun, so that's his lap over, and he won't be able to improve.
We're watching Bately there for a moment. Now we're on Nunez. These three should be able to finish their lap. That's PJ Gowdy again. We saw them not long ago. I was going to say, I believe this is the track that holds the record, at least on our broadcast races, for the hottest track surface. It was something like 130 some degrees Fahrenheit. I'd have to go back and double check what it was, but it was steaming. As Gowdy's going to continue on, so is Nunez. Both of them looking to get that little bit faster here. Let's see what the 777 can do. He's third in the Spec 2 grid, and he's not quicker. Nunez does improve. He gets a 203 flat, and that's going to give him 23rd spot. That's everybody. The qualifying is now over. So let's go through our starting grid here today for round 5. David Gaspers has gotten the pole yet again, but will he be able to pull away from the draft here with these long straights? Daniel Sadro will be starting in second. Then in row 2, it's Antonio Reese in P3 and Tim Van Dormelen in P4. Emil Orza managed to put the car in 5th with Steve Elson having a few problems in qualifying, but still a 6th place is not a bad feat. Greg Stefani, pole for the Spec 2, 7th overall. Outside of him, it's Hugh Haycox. Very nicely done there to put himself 8th. Ian is right behind him in 9th. They are a father and son duo if you're new to the series. Fred Desai rounds out your top 10.
And P11 is Larry McLeod. Alongside him is Miroslav Juracek and Chris Murakami in P13. Alongside him in P14 is PJ Gowdy. P15 is Pascal Montemarenzi. P16 is Michael Shaw. P17 is Tom Gradwell. Jerry McAreevy struggling in qualifying, could only qualify in P18. P19 is Samuel Dick, and rounding out the top 20 in P20 is Bob Kern.
Kenneth Bately will be starting 21st today. Yuri Cox is 22nd. And then in Kurt Nunez, who we watched improve, managed to get up to 23rd with that last lap. Paul Jackson starts in the 24th position. In the next row, it's Jeff Cantor to the inside. P25, Esanumi starting 26. Paolo Bream didn't get much higher, stays 27th, and Paul Godden in 28th. Welcome to Brad Speidel, starting 29th, and Julio Vercolen, last driver to put a time in 30th. Rhodes and Adair, I don't believe, neither of them are in the session right now. So it looks like we're going to have 30 cars start this race today. A little bit small, as we mentioned, for this field, but compared to many series, that's actually pretty healthy, I'd say. We'll see how they handle it. Thankfully, there's a lot of track around here that they can find some space. See, we're watching Hugh Haycox there on screen, gridding up. I think just a few more that we're waiting on to work their way out to the grid. Then we'll get a rolling start here, Ryan.
Absolutely. Just waiting for the safety car to get rolling, and we should be underway with this race in a few moments' time. But I have to say, Joe, this is one of my favourite tracks that I've done some races around on iRacing. I've done a few official races in the spec race of Ford, and it's just such a joy to race around. It's just one of those historic tracks that it gives me that nostalgia feeling.
Funny hearing someone talk about this being a historic track now since it was built in, I believe, 1990, which, oh boy, making me feel old here because I was already about 8 years old at that point. Meanwhile, David Gaspers is already following behind the pace car. The Porsche going to lead them around the historic layout. We don't have that chicane that the F1 cars have to deal with. So going to be a little bit quicker laps. Well, I guess it won't be quicker than even in these cars. But certainly should be a little bit more flowy, I guess we could say. Gasper's now waiting to get the green flag as he leads the field off of New Holland. Waiting a long time here. Now he gets going. Green flag is out here for round 5, and the Weekend Warriors. Gaspers pulls ahead of Daniel Sadro. Antonio Reese slots in behind. Very single file here at the start, Ryan. I'm not sure it's going to stay so orderly once they get to the corner.
I don't think it will, as they all head down into turn 1, and it looks like some cars getting bunched up behind into turn 1. But David Gaspers is through the first couple of corners, nice and clean, and even made a gap behind him to Daniel Sadro a little bit as they all come round the long right-hander.
Out of Renault, no incidents that I'm seeing so far. It is a clean start for the first series of corners. Gaspers stretching the gap over Sadro. Reese under attack, though, from Van Dormelen. It looks like Tim's not able to quite get that done, though. Emil Orza sizes him up, seeing him offline. Oh, and he's late on the brakes, but not late enough to try and send one up the inside as they brake for Seat.
And just behind that pack as well, behind Greg Stefani, is Hugh Haycox with his father, Ian Haycox, behind him. So they're all real. Oh, as Antonio Reese gets sideways heading up the hill.
That costs him a little bit of speed here where you want to certainly be picking it up out of Kampsa, who is really going to be able to carry it off of there down into one of the potential passing zones. Lakaija. Gaspers is well too far away already here on the first lap to be under attack. Watching Van Dormelen with Orza as he locks the brakes up, taking it down into that hairpin.
As I look back through the pack as well, and it looks like everyone's managed to make it through or make it round the first lap without any issues. They've all settled down relatively early, so it's good to see. And as we come round to end the first lap, it's David Gaspers in the lead, starting to build up a bit of a cushion.
Yeah, only issue we had was Esanumi with just a small spin in Lakaija. Otherwise, yeah, everybody is out of here pretty clean. So very, very orderly here. We ride on board with Gaspers, looking back at Daniel Sadro now, and you can see the gap that he's built to about half a second over his old rival. Looks like Van Dormelen and Antonio Reese have caught back up to Sadro in the meantime to come around Renault for the second time. So far, this is, I have to admit, Ryan, this is probably one of the calmest starts we've ever seen here in the Weekend Warriors.
Yeah, the Weekend Warriors, it's normally, from my experience, it's always been absolutely mayhem on the first lap. But looking at the moment, it looks like everyone's settled down, and there's not been any issues apart from that issue on that one, I should say. But the top three at the moment is still Gasper, Sadro, Rees, and not far behind them is Van Dormelen.
A little bit off the pace for Steve Elson. This might be a battle brewing here for sixth position. Hugh Haycox trying to stay close to him. And Hugh's got a very good run as they come down into Lakaija. No defense from Elson yet. What's Hugh do? Well, he stays in line, curiously. Thought maybe we would see a bit of a move there.
I was expecting Hugh to make a move possibly up the inside, but he decides to just wait behind. Maybe he's thinking about making a run on the home straight and try and use that slipstream.
We're going to watch from Stefani on board, our leader in that Spec 2 race. We can see the fight up ahead of him between Desai, Haycox, and Elson. Elson gets himself a little buffer coming onto the front stretch. Is that going to be enough, though? Because Hugh's already reeling him in here.
Hugh's got the run in him, but behind you is Fred Desai, and right behind them as well, Miroslav Jurasek is making a move as they head down into turn 1.
Almost 3 wide there, and a very late dive from Haycox manages to finally get it away from Elson. Desai still trying to work on that. He also demotes Elson one more position. Stefani, keeping Juracek behind him in the process, and we're going to go 3 wide again. That's Stefani on the very inside, Elson sandwiched in the middle. As they break for the corner, Elson nearly gets into Desai. Oh, and a wide turn for Hugh Haycox. He's off into the dirt.
Yeah, I'm just about to go and look at the replay to see what happened to Hugh. It might have just been a case of carrying too much speed into the corner. But yeah, he's just about... As we've got a replay of Hugh Haycox on screen.
Just lost it on entry, it looks like. A quick note, don't need to see it on the replay, but Van Dormelen had a bad exit of Seat as well, so he lost a couple positions. This is looking a little bit more the Weekend Warriors we know and love.
Yeah, it's getting very feisty right now with these guys as well. There was that move by Stephen Elson up the inside of Fred Desai. There was a bit. I don't think there was a bit of contact, but it was close to being a bit of a RG. Oh, is Elson's away?
Elson's away. We got a car spun. Is that Juracek? It is. Miroslav has turned around. He's stuck on track. Everybody's trying to avoid him, and he's staying put. Now he finally gets a chance to squeeze through. Wow, that was a lot of spots lost as he falls to 28th.
I'm just looking to see what happened, and yeah, he just lost it under braking, lost the rear end, and he was just a passenger. Oh, his Chris Baracami was absolutely lucky to avoid him.
Yeah, great heads up. And Van Dormelen actually went way too hot into the corner. So did Elson. Elson lost positions. Van Dormelen did not. We're going to watch from Murakami's view. Woo! Great heads up. Let's come back live because Van Dormelen's still in a fight. Desai had to go at him up into Elf. Stefani back there looking for something. And then how about Ian Haycox and Steve Elson now trying to sort this one out behind them?
Indeed, it looks like Fred Desai is trying to make a move up the inside of Tim Van Dormelen. Can he get the move done? He's there was so close to being contact there.
Might have even been a little bit of net code between them, but that gives Desai 5th place. Already under attack. Stefani looking to try and squeeze by Van Dormelen, but he's going to have the inside into the next corner. Wow, great move, out-braking him. Greg Stefani in the Spec 2 class has moved up to 6th with that.
Fantastic move. Oh, I thought he was going to go up the back of Fred Desai, but that was a fantastic move by Greg Stefani. Fair play to him. He managed to hold it on the outside and pulled it off.
So Desai leads this train that we're watching of 5 cars. He's trying to keep Stefani from gaining yet another one, but Greg is looking pretty strong off of Kampsa. He's going to go to the inside as they come down to Lakaja. Is there enough room there? Lock of the brakes there from Fred Desai. Side by side they go now as it switches back into Bonk Sabadell. Still neither driver willing to give way, and finally Fred Desai holds him off.
But they're heading onto the home straight, and on the home straight the slipstream can make a massive difference. If Stefani can get a great exit on the final corner, he might be able to get a run heading down to turn 1. Van Dormelen's off behind.
He's way off. He was just jumping through the dirt there, and Elson's not going to wait around on that one. He's already to the inside of Stefani with this beautiful run up the front stretch down into Elf. He's going to get 2 for 1 here, maybe even 3. Does he dare try to get it away from Desai? He's going to try it, and Desai is going to rebuff him. Oh, but he's not done yet. This is bringing Ian Haycox up very close behind them. Ian Haycox rocking up to the back of Elson. And is he going to back out? Yeah, he's deciding better of that move.
right behind these two guys is Ian Haycock, so he's just waiting there to pounce if these guys hold each other up. Ian, I have to say, from his onboard, he's looking pretty racy.
Desai finally gets fully ahead of Steve Elson, but Elson carries the speed well as they come down to Worth. This is a very tough one to go too wide. He's offline, almost makes contact with Ian Haycox. Van Dormelen's going to capitalize on that as he gets to the inside, coming up into Campsa. This is going horribly wrong for Ian Haycox as he falls all the way back into 8th now.
I'm just looking at the size of this pack as well. It's about, I have no idea how many cars are in this pack, but there's several anyway, put it that way. Oh, I thought it was a bit of contact behind with Greg Stefani, and who was that? That looked like it was... Ian Hill. I'll say it again, Ian Hill.
Yeah, he's barely managed to stay out of it. Elson tried to go at Desai once again, but that sent him backwards into Van Dormelen. Take your pick. Each driver has swapped positions multiple times within a lap these last few laps in this group. We hop on board with Ian Haycox now. Much cleaner coming off of New Holland for Van Dormelen. I think we're going to see another go from Elson, though, up in front. Uses the slipstream on Desai. He's fully beyond. This one could be a little bit cleaner depending. Oh, but he gets a shove from behind. That was Tim Van Dormelen, just giving him a tiny extra bit of speed down through the apex, but they both come out the other side. And Desai, I think, is going to get overtaken by Tim here.
Yeah, it's all kicking off now. I've said it before, but it's getting a lot more feisty with these guys. It looks like at this early stage of the race, the gloves are off and they're all going for it. But this is fantastic racing at the moment, and I'm absolutely loving this. And it's proven why the Weekend Warriors is one of the best spec racer Ford leagues out there at the moment.
Ooh, Stefani gets a shot from the back. Hugh Haycox gets him. I think they're both okay from that, but it's starting to lead to a little bit more contact here in this mid-pack. Let's stay here, but just an update. Gaspers is leading. Sadro's still in the draft along with Reese, and the top three have broken away, all about half a second apart from one another. But Haycox, Ian Haycox to the inside of Fred Desai now through Campsa after Desai made a failed pass on Van Dormelen there. Stefani's going to look to the inside of two of them. Almost outbreaks himself. Fred's going to give him room. Think he might have this, but Fred says no. I'm going to keep my nose in here. Make you work for it. But still, Stefani manages to pull it off.
I was just watching it. Sorry, Joe.
I was going to say, as this has been happening, we've had a driver down in the pits, and this seems a little bit early. We've got Urka Lindstrom down there pit reporting for us today. Urka, did you see what happened with Kenneth? Was this scheduled or not?
Yes, Joe. I think it was scheduled. He just pit in, and there's nothing anything wrong there, I think. So it was normal pit stop.
All right, well, we'll keep an eye out. So apparently that opens the pit window. Michael Shaw also joins. We had a 3 wide down into the first corner with Ian Haycox leading his group. It was with Stefani and Hugh Haycox, and they all got it worked out. So Ian moves himself up into 7th. They're starting to lose touch here, Ryan. Tim and Steve have gotten themselves a handy gap now.
Yeah, I was just looking at Stephen and Tim. They've managed to, while these guys are fighting away, scrapping amongst themselves, they've pulled away and managed to take advantage of that. But I'm just looking at the rear of this pack as well. A few other cars have joined this battle now as well. So, yeah, the cars that have joined this battle is Chris Marikami, Larry McLeod, and Jerry McAreevy.
Yeah, with Larry McLeod being one of our Spec 2 drivers, he is going to want to catch up to Gowdy and Stefani, because there's your podium right there. And Spec 2 racing between essentially 8th and 13th right now. So they have certainly got some speed down in the amateur class of this series. So we watch Hugh. He's being very closely followed by Desai. Desai's going to pop in there and try and get the spot away, muscles through. Meanwhile, in front of them, Van Dormelen got the spot away from Elson and moves himself into 5th. Let's take a look at that one more time. I'm amazed at how many locked brakes we're seeing into that corner, Ryan. We don't usually see that in this car.
Yeah, it's such a you're going so quick and you're having to slow down so quick as well that it's just people are locking brakes sometimes, maybe just braking too hard. But yeah, I'm just looking back up at the front as well. I recognised or I just came across that Antonio Rees has managed to snatch second place away from Daniel Sadro. I think we missed that as well.
We've got more more drivers heading into pit lane here, and Urka, I see one of our front runners, Steve, has come in. Does this look like maybe trying to leapfrog other drivers to you?
Yes, Joe. I think some other got trying. So yeah, but so far it was quite fast pit stop, so no problems.
Looks like Steve's already back out. He returns the highest pitter in 23rd. The name of Haycox has apparently gotten on my brain, as we've been calling him so much. We're taking a look at Rees ahead of Sadro. That pass has certainly looked like that cost them because they are now 2 seconds behind Gaspers. This is definitely not what David wanted. And did we lose Ian Haycox? Urka, I see you looking out of pit lane. Did you spy some action happening out on track there?
Yeah, I just saw Haycox just spun, but he managed to save the car. No any major damage there, but yeah, let's see when he going to pits. Yeah.
Meanwhile, if we look at Hugh Haycox, he's returned in 14th, and he's in another pack already, so he really can't get away from things. He's battling side by side with Pascal Montmorency, and he's going to come out ahead of him. That retains that 14th place. Kurt Nunez is in there behind them too. Wonder if we'll see any more drivers maybe try to pit early, including I see Antonio Rees coming down now.
Yeah, I'm very surprised that Antonio's pitted this early. I thought he would have tried to go as long as possible, but yeah, maybe trying to undercut Daniel Sadro possibly.
Yep. Oh, did he miss his pit stall? He missed his pit stall or something because he's backed up. Something screwy is going on here. Oof. I wonder if he's going to come out behind Steve Elson now. And yes, he is. Wow. So this gifts 3rd place to Steve Elson now. Michael Shaw in front of him. Where is he coming out? He's behind Larry McLeod. If I'm not mistaken, McLeod was fighting. He was at the tail of that one train that Elson was in. So that was around 13th, 14th place. Rees made a costly mistake.
Yeah, that's cost him big time. That's maybe even cost him a chance of finishing on the podium. So missing his pit boxes, that's absolutely heartbreaking. If I was Antonio, I would be fuming right now.
Checking in on 5th place right now. Greg Stefani is up to there. He's trying to catch up to Tim Van Dormelen ever since Tim started to pull away from this group of the drivers who have yet to pit here. We've got Desai, Ian Haycox, and Chris Murakami still trailing along. Otherwise, it's really broken up in this first major pack that we've been watching for much of the race so far.
Yeah, these battles, there were several of these guys scrapping amongst themselves a few not too long ago, but it's separated and broke up a little bit. But we've still got this battle with Stefani, Desai, Haycox, and not far behind them is Chris Murakami, PJ Gowdy, and Jerry Macarive.
Oh, and I think Stefani is going to be overtaken by Desai because Fred's got to the inside. And Fred takes that black number 76 up into the top 5 once more.
And just ahead. Oop, sorry, Joe, I will let you finish.
I was just going to say we're riding on board now with Greg Stefani looking ahead. Go ahead.
I was just going to say as well that Tim Van Dormelen is pulled away a little bit from these guys behind. He's in a bit of a no man's land at the moment, and he's having a good race at the moment as well. Tim, he's doing better than I expected. He's normally in the mid pack, or he was last week at Silverstone, but this is a great race from Tim so far, and if he keeps it up to the end of the race, this will be, I believe, his best result of the season.
Saw a little bit of a move outside of Repsol from Ian Haycox on Greg Stefani. Didn't quite work out. He was awful close for a moment. He continues to threaten. All these drivers are fighting with the likes of Steve Elson, Michael Shaw, and Larry McLeod, most likely with Antonio Reese as well, who have all pitted and are on the other side of the track as Ian Haycox takes it deep down in Lakaja, manages to get it woed up.
That was an awesome move by Ian. I wouldn't say he's seen a gap there, but he's seen an opportunity, and he caught Greg out at under braking and went for the move and managed to pull it off. But he almost ran into the back of Fred Desai and just managed to get it stopped in time.
Sounds like we've got some more action happening down on pit lane. Urka, what do you see?
Yeah, Miroslav Juricek, he crashed back of the Bob Kern in turn 1 in lap 9, so he went straight to pits, and it looks like his day is over.
Oh, and yeah, he's out of his car right now, so that is bad news for him. Jerry McAreevy, in the meantime, taking fuel, should be back out. Looks like Yuri Cox is also in pit lane. Elson should easily get by both of these drivers. Looks like everybody at the top of the field still going. Ryan is electing to try and go as far as possible because we're not seeing much variance from them. It's just kind of been, I'd say maybe it looks like they're trying to run it out of fuel. Ooh, there was side-by-side action, sorry, between Shaw and McAreevy. Shaw comes out ahead. Go ahead there.
Yeah, I was just going to say that it's normally the case up at the front with these guys that are in the front pack or up at the front. It's normal for these guys to go as long as possible and just try and run the tank dry. And if they do that, it means they don't have to take as much fuel at the pit stop.
Got a battle happening here for 14th position. Bream, Godden, and Cantor all close together. Looks like Godden's going to try and get himself a good run here onto the back stretch. See what he can do with this. A lot smoother, though, through for Paulo Bream. Godden has to go from on the attack to maybe defense because Jeff Cantor is on a gallop.
As these three are still relatively close together, but it's good to see Paul back in the league. He always does a good job as well of sponsoring the league, and it looks like he's having good fun out there, battling the Bream in front of him and Cantor behind.
Looks like Godden's got his feet under him as I think we're getting a few of our front runners, including our leaders, joining down Urka on pit lane. Who do you see?
Yes, Greg Stefani just joined the pits, and let's see, there was someone else also.
I think Gaspers. Yeah, we just rode on board with Gaspers as he exited the pit lane. So he is done. Kurt Nunez looks like he's in as well. Looks like Stefani has finished his stop, and Stefani's going to come out ahead of Elson. Interesting development here.
I wonder if Elson got held up in traffic, or maybe just Stefani had a better pit entry and didn't lose as much time. But Elson is all over the back of him, trying everything to try and get by.
McAreevy, who's been fighting with Reese and Shaw ever since he finished his pit stop, is certainly in the thick of things here, just behind them. And actually, Reese nearly just got into McAreevy. I know we're watching the other battle there, but this is getting very spicy here.
Yeah, it's no matter where you look in the race, there's always a battle going on, as always the case with the Weekend Warriors League. But it looks like Reese has got a run up the inside of McAreevy. Can he hold it off up the inside into before the turn in? Nope, he can't get the move done.
Worth is a pretty tricky corner, even in these cars. So McAreevy fends him off and keeps what is for now 17th, but they're waiting on a number of drivers to take their pit stops. Riding on board with Antonio, we look ahead at Jerry. And we couldn't see it from on board here, but Michael Shaw nearly got into the back of Antonio Reese, breaking down into Lakaja there.
Yeah, that was a close one. As I'm not sure who that is. They're coming up to the lap, or who that is. I believe that's Larry McLeod in front of these guys.
That's not to lap him. That's for position.
Yeah, I thought it was a back marker, but I just had to check lifetime, and it is indeed for position, as McAreevy is a bit wide on the final corner.
Reese with the shot, and Michael Shaw is going to follow through, but Michael Shaw is going to give a bump draft to Jerry McAreevy. All right, so how is this going to play out? Can Jerry get it wound up with this extra little bit of speed he's going to be given? Shaw backs out of it, gives them space as they're side by side down into Elf. Reese with a nose ahead and is going to have the inside and long right-hander of Renault. Looks like Antonio's now finally got that 16th spot.
That was a good move by Antonio. He managed to take advantage of that and take the position from Jerry, I should say. But now he has to try and hunt down Larry McLeod, who is not far in front of these guys.
Getting really close to the end of this pit window. So I expect we should see more drivers in soon enough. From what we've watched of Daniel Sadro today, though, Ryan, I don't think he's got the pace to try and do anything to jump Gaspers.
It's been the case with Daniel for a couple of races, I think. Silverstone, he had a brilliant race and he was keeping up with David Gaspers, but just halfway through the race and towards the end of the race, it just started falling apart and bad luck struck him. But it's the same today as well. It just seems to his pace seems to have dropped off, as Fred Desai is in the pits.
One of our drivers who's been a bit of a sleeper is in. Yeah, Orza. Urka, I see a couple others joining you. What have you got?
Yeah, Emil also just got to pitch in. So Ian Haycox. There's only like 3 cars in the same time in the pitch.
That looks like Murakami's also pitting. PJ Gowdy. A lot of people are in. Sadro manages to stay out for another lap, and Jackson does as well. Everybody else has been in. Meanwhile, Ian Haycox has a nice little fight here now that things have settled out mostly up at the front. This is Tim Van Dormelen he's actually come out ahead of. And they've got Steve Elson and Greg Stefani in there. This is to settle 5th position, which should be 4th once they get Paul Jackson in for his stop.
Indeed. Just looking at these guys as well, they're all close together. That must have been I think that was a great pit stop by Ian Haycox on the exit. He must have been that slight bit quicker than the other guys after their pit stops. So he's managed to jump Tim and Stephen Elson and Greg Stefani as well. So this is going to be a terrific battle to watch right till the end of the race.
Watching our leader, and Sadro's heading into the pits. Where is Gaspers behind him? We ride on board with Sadro now coming down to the cones. Gaspers just coming through Europe car right now.
Gasper's coming around the home straight. He runs a little bit wide, but yeah, he should be able to jump Sadro no problem. So David Gaspers retakes the lead.
And I think something happened to Ian Haycox. There's Gaspers retaking the lead easily over Sadro. Ian suddenly lost a whole bunch of positions. I'm checking to see. Oh, yeah, if we get a replay just recently coming out of, I believe this was Bonk Sabadell. Yeah, perfect timing here. He's at the lead of the train, and he's going to completely swap spots and head to the back. Oh, just has to catch the car.
That's an easy thing to do with these spec racing Fords. We know how lively they can be on the rear because of they're set up really stiff. So maybe Ian just carried too much speed into the corner and just had to catch it.
So we come to the battle here between Reese and McAreevy. So now we finally get to see exactly what the damage was on Reese's botched pit stop here, Ryan, and he's settled into 9th place.
Yeah, that's a disaster. He was having such a good race, Antonio, but just overshooting his pit box cost him probably around about 1.5 seconds to 2 seconds. So he's lost so much time in too many positions. So it's just a case of getting to the finish, and the best he can hope for is a top 10 result. But Jerry McAreevy's on a bit of a recovery drive behind him, so these guys will be scrapping amongst themselves for the last couple of places basically in the top 10.
Oh, we got a battle for 5th. We've got Elson in front of them with Van Dormelen having to go defensive on Greg Stefani. I think that defensive move put Van Dormelen off, and now he's under threat because Greg has got a nose ahead, but he's on the outside of Bonk Sabadell. Still, he manages to sweep it in well, and that's going to give Greg Stefani P5.
This is fantastic stuff. These 1, 2, 3, 4 guys all close together, but on this home straight, Greg should hopefully have the run on Stephen Elson, but right behind him, he has to keep an eye on Tim Van Dormelen and Ian Haycox.
Yeah, Ian's recovered. Ian has caught the back of this group, and he's already going to try and take one over on Tim down into Elf. Here comes Stefani too. Oh, Stefani with a very hard shove trying to bump draft into the back of Elson there. And they all stay in the same order that they were in. Oh, something happened to Chris Murakami in the meantime. He was very slow on the front stretch. Oh my goodness. Murakami has had a huge tumble. You can see the damage on the car. If we get a replay, this is coming out of the final corner. Goes a little bit wide, and it looks like he just starts to lose control.
Yeah, it just looks like he might have just clipped the gravel on the outside and just wallop into.
I'm gonna watch from off board now. There from on board, you could see went completely over. Yeah. Well, if it still runs, I guess that's the Earnhardt maneuver. Look it over, get back in the car, and hit the ignition.
I was going to say it looked like I thought he was trying to drift it for a second, and he was trying to make a movie called Catalonia Drift.
So let's head back up to this battle for 4th place with Elson leading. Stefani, Van Dormelen, and Haycox have not swapped around since we last looked. We're down to 7 minutes left to go. So probably in the realm of 3 or 4 laps left.
I'm just looking back up at the front as well, and it's David Gaspers in the lead by what it looks like 7.5 seconds from Daniel Sadro.
Yeah, Sadro has been well outmatched this time. David Gaspers. From what I understand, David has wanted some competitive drivers to come in here. Still, we have not found people that have gotten anything for the number 1 machine. Multiple championships, and now at this rate, just it hasn't even been beaten on track in quite a while, in months' time.
as we look at Daniel Sadro on screen right now as well, he's just all by himself in second place, and for Daniel, it must be so frustrating knowing that you have the pace, but you can't do anything to beat David. It must be so frustrating.
Come back to the battle for fourth and fifth. Elson starting to pull away from Stefani, who has both Haycox and Van Dormelen putting pressure on him. Wonder if anybody has the number for Gregor Hutu. Is he still racing? Let's see if he can get him in a spec racer. Oh, way wide there for Elson. Steven went a little wide there coming out of Worth, but keeps it from becoming a more dire situation.
Behind Elson as well, Stefani and Haycox are still going at it as Haycox tries to go for a move up the inside. Can he get it done? Oh, that was so close.
Given a lot of space by Stefani too. That wide line was a little costly. Unfortunately, Ian Haycox finds the track switching direction, so he has to give it up. Oh, but he goes for the over-under. He's going to try and get his nose in down through Europe car. This is a fast turn. Once again, given space, but no change.
Just looking back through the pack as well, it looks like Fred Desai is right behind Antonio Rees as well. Jerry McAreevy has fallen back from this battle for what says effectively P8 and P9. So I'm not sure what's happened to Jerry, if he's just lost pace or made a mistake.
On screen, though, this is a great run from Ian Haycox. We're going to go 3 wide. Here comes Van Dormelen down the inside. Breaks early, though. Not confident enough. Incredible, with all these wild moves we're seeing, none of the drivers have changed positions. They're exactly where they were about 3 laps ago.
Absolutely, this is a fantastic battle. These guys have been going at it since they had the pit stops or made the pit stops, and I'm amazed as well that they've not had any contact or any rubs or anything like that. They've been so close to making contact, but these guys are keeping it clean. They're racing hard, but giving each other respect at the same time.
Should be 2 laps to go when we cross the start-finish line this time by. This is really one of our best battles on the track right here, especially considering it's just outside the podium. A lot of points that are up for grabs among these drivers. Stefani especially, he doesn't want to lose too many at this rate, because he's, let's see, next one down is Larry McLeod in 10th overall in that Spec 2 class. So Greg Stefani is going to shoot up the order if he can finish in this 5th spot.
As Ian Haycox tries to go for, or I think he was thinking about making a move on Stefani, but backed out of it. But I'm looking back at the battle with Antonio Rees. Oh,
and Stefani goes around. Was there contact? Oh, there was definite contact there with Desai, though. Big damage, and there is a commentator's curse for sure on Stefani. Just after saying he was hoping for big points today, he did get hit by both Van Dormelen and Ian Haycox.
Just waiting for a replay to come up with Stefani, and it was unfortunate for Greg. He was having such a great race, but just riding on board with him now, and he just lost the rear on the braking, and he's got clipped by Ian Haycox as well as he spun round. I think he was thinking about going, and he had to get on the brakes, and unfortunately got clipped by Desai, I think it was.
Yeah, that was the one that got him. As we've come to Van Dormelen and Ian Haycox. Now, with their little bit of damage, I wonder if that's going to slow them up enough in this last lap that they're going to be starting soon, because Antonio Rees, well, he got, I believe, 2 of those positions with what happened to Stefani and Desai, and that gets him up to 7th. He could see himself up to 5th here if he could just catch the tail of these 2.
Watching Antonio right now, he's slowly catching these guys. Ian Haycox and Tim Van Dormelen in front of him. They're fighting amongst themselves, and this is giving a chance for Antonio to close on him. And if Antonio can get by both of them, this will also help him, not just overall, but will help him in the Spec 2. I believe, is he in the Spec 2 class or Spec 1 class?
Antonio is Spec 1, definitely. He's
Okay,
very
right.
fast.
My
This
bad.
does give the Spec 2 lead to Larry McLeod in ninth now, though. This is why you should never give up. White flag waves for our leader, our overall leader. This is the Spec 2 leader that we see on screen. So David Gasper's 10 seconds ahead of Daniel Sadro. Sun has been slowly going down here at Barcelona. It's about 4:30 in the afternoon, virtual standard time. This is set late in November here in the virtual world. Hence why we've got such a short day. Oh, wow.
Van Dorn. Oh, Haycox is making a move on Van Dormelen. Can he get it done into turn one? Sorry for interrupting, Joe.
I was just about to go to the same thing, and Van Dormelen is not able to hold him back. They are being caught by Reese. Fred Desai is limping to the finish line, essentially. Larry McLeod gets another position with his damaged car. This isn't over yet, I don't think. Here comes Antonio. He has now firmly caught the back of them. But it's one thing catching, it's another thing to pass.
Antonio is right behind these guys, and I think he's trying to make a. Oh, I thought he was going to make a look at, or make a move up the inside of Tim, but he decides to back out of it. I think Antonio's best chance of making a move is on the back straight, heading up to the long left-hand hairpin.
Guy that's loving this the most is Steve Elson, because he's been left alone ever since that incident from Haycox, or from Stefani, rather, I should say, that split them up. Nothing doing quite yet. We could have a move down into Lakaja, and unfortunately, I'm not sure that we'll be able to cover it because we've got David Gaspers coming up to the final corner right now. David put it on pole, and he didn't lead every lap, but it was only due to the pit stops. Victory here today in Spain for David Gaspers, with Sadro a distant second. Reese did not manage to make the move down into Lakaja. Van Dormelen held him off. Ian Haycox still leading the trio in fifth place as well.
Just watching Haycox coming around the final corner. He's got a gap, but behind him, Van Dormelen and Reese are still going at it. Oh, is it? Van Dormelen's off in the final corner.
And that gives the position over to Reese. It wasn't 2 spots, but Antonio is going to move himself up into 6th. Nicely done. Unfortunate mistake for Van Dormelen. Looks like we got a battle between PJ Gowdy and Samuel Dick, which is going to go in favor of PJ, taking the 13th position. All the way to the line for 19th, Nunez and Cox. That is very close. And who was that slow there? That was Kenneth Bately, who just finished ahead of them barely, as I think he ran out of fuel. Looking through the order, and I think that is all the battles. Last of the cars on the lead lap. In fact, we didn't have anybody lapped from what I'm seeing, other than Juracek, who DNF'd. Wow, so that was an impressively clean race for our Weekend Warriors field. We're going to come back with the unofficial results as well as driver interviews. Stick around, because on screen you'll see all the upcoming races here on GSRC. Welcome back to Barcelona. We just watched round 5 in the Weekend Warriors, and David Gaspers takes 5 for 5 here today. Daniel Sadro, he trailed him, and he was using the draft to great effect as soon as he started battling with Antonio Reis. Those two really lost track, and I think that put the nail in the coffin. Still, he took a second place where he needed it. Emil Orza finished in third, a quiet third, you have to say, for the number 96. Steve Elson, who was battling much of the way, eventually got himself some breathing space and finished in fourth. Ian Haycox with a top 5. Nicely done. Antonio Reis fought his way back after a mistake in the pit stops, came back to 6th, but I'm sure after qualifying third, he wanted better. Tim Van Dormelen, a mistake on the very last corner, wound up in 7th. Larry McLeod was 8th today with Fred Desai, a late wreck, unfortunately not of his doing, finished 9th, and Hugh Haycox rounds out your top 10.
Finishing just outside the top 10 in P11 was Jerry McAreevy, 12th place was Greg Stefani, P13 was PJ Gowdy, 14th was Samuel Dick, Michael Shaw finished in 15th, Pascal Montemarenzi finished in 16th, P17 was Bob Kern, P18 was Kenneth Bately, 19th was Kurt Nunes, and rounding out the top 20 was Yuri Cox.
Tom Gradwell was 21st today with Paul Jackson in 22nd. Chris Murakami, unfortunately, at the very end, finding his day going south. 23rd position for him. Jeff Cantor in 24th, and Paolo Bream in 25th. And you've got Paul Godden, who probably was expecting a little bit more, but finishing in 26th. Asa Numi in 27th, and Julio Verkolen in 28th. Brad Speidel was your last finisher in 29th. Juracek, DNF today, our only DNF of the field. We're going to talk to our winner now, David Gaspers, who was leading the way and had Daniel Sadro as a hanger-on. But once he started fighting with Antonio, it seemed like you were off like a shot, David.
Yeah, I don't think it was because they fought, but at some point then, when they were a little wide out of, I think it's the third last corner that happened before that historic corner. And after that, they were out of a draft, so I don't think it mattered that much whether they started fighting.
And certainly lost track of you quickly, and you eventually spread it up to about 11 seconds at the end. Without the lap traffic, it didn't seem like you had a whole lot to do this race.
No, it was the most exciting one.
Yeah, it unfortunately followed that pattern of F1 for you here, not for everybody else. There was plenty of action behind, I can tell you. Still, next round, we're headed over to the Charlotte Roval, which would probably make it a lot harder to try and drop those cars from behind.
I'm not so sure. The draft shouldn't be more stronger there than here. It's good that we use the slow chicane this season, not the really dangerous one we had last time we were. So let's see what happens.
I'm with you. I do not like that old chicane at all. So, well, again, congratulations on a victory. Hopefully you at least get some excitement next week.
Yeah, I hope so.
That was David Gaspers, winner here today. And Ryan is going to be talking to Dan Sadro, who apparently made a mistake that we missed, according to David Gaspers.
Joining us in the booth now after finishing second in that race. Daniel, we heard that you made a mistake, but we never caught it in the broadcast, I think. What happened?
Oh, you didn't catch it on the broadcast? Well, then no mistake happened. I drove a perfect race. No, I was having I just understeered off in the third last corner, the first of those right-handers, and let Antonio by, and it was just a completely foolish error by me. And then I was kind of following him, trying to figure out what he was doing, and then I saw he went into the pits, and then that was kind of the last time I saw anybody all race.
Yeah, we've seen in the early stages of the race, you were keeping up with David, but behind you, you had a stack of cars that you were battling away with. Antonio was one of those cars. Did you think Antonio could be a threat, or do you think you could have fought David for the one, or was second place that the best that you could hope for?
I was pretty sure second was the best I could realistically hope for. I was only staying with David because of the draft, and even with that, I was losing a little bit each lap. Antonio was very, very strong. I knew he was strong from all day, even practice and qualifying. He was incredibly strong. So second was the best I could reasonably hope for. Unfortunately, I don't know what happened to him in his pit stop. But once I saw how far he had gone back after the pit stop, I kind of knew that it was just to kind of coast to second place, unfortunately.
Good stuff. Well, congratulations on second place, Daniel. You probably would have wanted to be one step higher up in the podium, but second is still a great result. And you're looking forward to Charlotte next week?
I'm always looking forward to trying the new configuration. This is the first time that with the new backstretch chicane, so I don't know if I'm going to like it or not until I try it. So the only thing I can do is to try it and give it my best shot.
Well, thanks for joining us, Dan, in the booth, and we'll look forward to seeing you on track next week. And thanks for joining us.
All right, thanks, guys.
That was our second place finisher, Daniel Sadro. It's going to wrap up our interviews here for today. And of course, we want to thank our sponsor for this series, Sim Stickers. If you want to get some stuff from them, they have a promo code special for watching us here. It's GSRC10. It'll give you 10% off on any order all season long. You still got half the season left to go here to use that. And that's at simstickers.co.uk. Also, thanks to iRacing for putting us on IESN. Make sure and subscribe when you get the opportunity. It's very simple to do. Just click the big red subscribe button. Thanks to the companies that provide the software and the hardware for our broadcasts. They're listed here on your screen. And additional thanks go to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of her great work. Thanks to the team today, Ryan, Sean, Dougie, and Urka. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. Also, check out our social media. Our Twitter is at GSR Channel, Facebook is Global Sim Racing Channel, and Instagram is GSRC_Graham. Like we mentioned, we're heading back across the pond. We're going to Charlotte for the Roval track. That'll be Sunday, January 19th at 2:45 p.m. Eastern. We have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. But until next time, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.